So we can get some other questions. So the next question I want us to do is the one for May 2017. May 2017, question 1, part C. We now check the one for May 2017, question number 1, part C. So we go to the question for May 2017, question number 1, part C. So the question reads that May 2017, question number 1, part C. The question reads that Upendo Limited existing capital structure is given as follows. Upendo Limited existing capital structure is given as follows. So you are given ordinary share capital, the bar value is 20, total amount is 20 millions. Reserves are given as 5 millions. Then there is also 10% debenture, shillings 100 bar value. We are also given 8% preference shares. The bar value is 20. Total amount is meant to be 50 millions. So additional information, note number 1, in the most recent earnings per share of the company is 5 shillings. The firm adopts 40% payout ratio as it is dividend policy. The firm adopts 40% payout ratio as it is dividend policy. Note number 3 is that ordinary shares of the company are currently selling for shillings 50 each. Note number 4, existing 10% debenture is currently trading at 110% of the bar value at the securities exchange. Note number 5, existing 8% preference shares are currently trading at 25 shillings each. Note number 6, the corporate tax rate applicable is 30%. So now required, Roman letter 1, annual dividend growth rate using the Codon. Annual dividend growth rate using the Codon dividend policy. Note number 3, ordinary shares of the company are Roman letter 3, the cost of the 10% debenture capital. The next one is meant to be cost of the 8% preference share capital. Then finally, the weighted average cost of capital of the firm. So we start off with Roman letter 1, how to calculate the annual growth rate using the Codon model. So that will be the retention ratio model. So Codon has 2 methods of calculating the growth rate: compounding method and retention ratio method. So for this question, you are to apply the retention ratio method. You are to apply the retention ratio method in order to get the constant growth rate G. So our G is supposed to be given by going by the retention ratio method, R multiplied by the return on equity. So to calculate G, it should be given by R multiplied by the return on equity. Now, we are looking for the question of November 2017. November 2017 is meant to be question number 1, part C. It is question 1, part C. So to calculate G, it is equal to R multiplied by the return on equity. So to get the return on equity, it was not given. It is simply meant to be given by earnings after tax divided by the book value of equity, Then we show it as a percentage. The book value of equity, we show it as a percentage. So To compute the earnings after the tax, to get the earnings after the tax, you simply take the number of the ordinary shares multiplied by the earnings per share. So when you want to calculate the return on equity, we simply come up with the earning per share. It is simply the earning per share multiplied by, it will be the earning per share when we multiply by the number of the ordinary shares. Number of the ordinary shares. So when you want to calculate the earnings after tax, you simply take the earning per share multiplied by the number of the ordinary shares. So earning per share was given to you. Earning per share was given to you in the note number 1. When you check note 1, earning per share is given as 5 shillings. Then, to get the number of the ordinary shares, go to the capital structure. In the capital structure, ordinary share capital, there is 20 million, then the bar value is 20. So you take the 20 millions, divide by the bar value of 20 shillings. So that will definitely be able to tell us that earnings after tax is going to be 5 millions, like that. So we end up having the 5 millions. So now from there, we should be able to come up with the earnings. So we should be able to come up with the return on equity. So return on equity, it is earnings after tax, which is 5 millions, which is meant to be 5 millions. So book value of equity, to get the book value of equity, remember to add ordinary share capital of 20 million plus the reserves. So when you add ordinary share capital plus the reserves, what should be the book value of equity? The question has given you ordinary share capital of 20 million, reserves of 5 million. When you add them together, they should be able to give us which figure. Now, online, are you able to see the book value for equity? Book value for equity, you add the ordinary share capital, which is 20 million, plus the reserves, which is 5 million. You see, when you add, they're giving you a total of how much? Online, I want to know whether you have seen that figure. When you add ordinary share capital and reserves, it should give you which value? To be the book value of equity. Online, I want to know whether you are in class. No one has communicated to me. So I'm asking, what should be the book value of equity when you add the ordinary share capital of 20 million plus the capital reserves of 5 million? What should be the book value for equity? Anyone to chat me how much is that figure? So to compute the return on equity, you are supposed to add the ordinary share capital, which is 20 million. You add the reserves, which is 5 million. So 20 millions plus the 5 millions. That is now the book value of equity. So you express that as a percentage. You express that part as a percentage. You express it as a percentage. So when you express it as a percentage, it will be able to give us which value? So it will be able to give you 20%. Then after that, we get the G. So to calculate G, retention ratio, you got the note number 2. The firm will adopt 40% payout ratio as it is dividend policy. It means retention ratio should be 60%. So retention ratio, that retention ratio will be 60% multiplied by 20%. So that should be able to give you the growth rate in the Roman letter 1. It should be able to give you the growth rate in the Roman letter 1. So we are using the retention ratio method. That Roman letter 1, we are using the retention ratio method so that we can get the constant growth rate. So it has given us which figure? 12%. Yeah, so our growth rate is going to be 12%. Our growth rate will be 12%. So after that, we now go to the Roman letter 2. Roman letter 2, you are to calculate the cost of the ordinary share capital. Roman letter 2, we calculate the cost of the ordinary share capital. So let us see how to get the cost of the ordinary share capital. Let us now see how to compute the cost of the ordinary share capital. So to get the cost of the ordinary share capital, to compute cost of the ordinary share capital, cost of the ordinary share capital, it is meant to be KE. KE is supposed to be given by TO 1 plus G divided by PO minus the flotation cost. We add G. We add G at that point. So to calculate G, first you compute the dividend per share. To get the dividend per share, it is supposed to be given by earning per share multiplied by dividend payout ratio. Dividend payout ratio. So to calculate the dividend per share, it should be given by the earning per share multiplied by the dividend payout ratio. Note number 1, you had been given what is meant to be the earning per share, which is given as what? 5. So dividend payout ratio was given in the note number 2 as 40%. So we get 40% of that value. So what should be the dividend per share? So dividend per share will be 2 shillings. Then now we get our KE, cost of the ordinary share. So it will be 2, then 1 plus G. G is the constant growth rate. We calculated, we got 12%. So 12% the same as 0.12. We also divide by PO. PO is the current market price in the note number 3. Ordinary shares of the company are currently selling for how much? 15. So our PO is 15. There was no flotation cost that was given. Then also add 0.12. Then express it as a percentage. Then express that value as a percentage. So it is giving us which percent? What should be the cost of the ordinary share when you express it as a percentage? You're getting 16.48. So what is that cost of the ordinary share? 16.48. So we go to the Roman letter. We go to the Roman letter 3. Roman letter 3, they were asking you to calculate the cost of the 10% debenture capital. We also compute the cost of the 10% debenture capital. So let us also compute the cost of the debenture. We can now also calculate what is supposed to be the cost of the debenture. Also compute cost of the debenture capital. Cost of the debenture. Cost of the debenture. So to get the cost of the debenture, to calculate the cost of the debenture, it is supposed to be AD. So the debenture is irredeemable. The debenture is irredeemable because you are not given the maturity period. When it is irredeemable, cost of the debenture is supposed to be given by interest, 1 minus the tax rate. Current value for the debenture, we subtract the flotation cost, then we express it as a percentage. So interest is supposed to be given by the interest rate is 10%. The interest rate is 10%. The bar value is given as 100. The bar value is given as 100. That means interest will be 10 shillings. Then maturity, the current value for the debenture. Current value for the debenture, we check in the note number 4. Existing 10% debenture is currently trading at 110% of the bar value. So get 110% of 100. That should be in a position to give you the amount for the current value for the debenture. This 100. So from there you get your KD. Interest is 10. 1 minus the corporate tax. Corporate tax was there in the note number 6 as 30%. Will be 0.3. Current value for the debenture is 110. We minus the flotation cost, which is 0. We show it as a percentage. So it should be able to give us around which percent? 6.36. Yeah, so that's now how to compute the cost of the debenture. So now we go to the Roman letter 3. We go to the Roman letter, 4. For Roman letter 4 is the cost of the 8% preference share capital. The cost of 8% preference share capital. So let us now compute the cost of the preference share. Let us now calculate the cost of the preference share. So we go to the Roman letter 4 as the cost of the preference shares. Also calculate the cost of the preference shares. That is the same as KB. It is dividend divided by P4 minus the flotation cost. Then we express it as a percentage. Then we express it as a percentage. So our dividend dividend, I want you to go to the note number, the note number 5. Existing 8% preference shares are currently trading at 25, but when you check up there to compute the dividend per share, you are meant to get 8% of 20 shares. 8% of 20 shares. So what should be 8% of 20? Sorry? The bar value is equal to the dividend is calculated on the bar value. So what should be 8% of 20? So we got this 1.6. So now to get our KB, it is 1.6. PO is 25. That is what is given there in the note number 5. So it is 25. There was no flotation cost. Then you express it as a percentage. So finally, we go to the Roman letter 5, the weighted average cost of capital of the firm. We go to the Roman letter 5, where we compute the weighted average cost of capital. So to compute the weighted average cost of capital, we shall be required, first of all, to come up with what is supposed to be the total market value. We need to get the total market value. So to get the total market value, you start off with ordinary shares. You start off with the ordinary shares. Start off with the ordinary shares. So for the ordinary shares, the bar value is, so the total amount is 20 million divided by the bar value, which is 20. That is giving you the number of the ordinary shares. Then you go to the note number 3. The ordinary shares of the company are currently selling at shillings 50 each. So multiplied by 50. So when you take 20 millions divided by 20, multiply 50, you should be able to give us 50 millions. Be able to give the value of 50 millions. The next one should be the preference shares. We also need to get the preference shares. So for the preference shares, it is supposed to be the 15 millions divided by the bar value, which is 20. Then they were currently trading in the note number 5 at 25 shillings. So compute, then you give me the figure. Sorry?
18.75.
18.75 minutes. Then the next one should be the debenture. The next one is meant to be the debenture. So for the debentures, you take the 10 millions divided by the bar value, which is 100, multiplied by, in the note number 4, they were currently trading at 110%. So that price we calculated, we got 110 by that. Got the figure of 110. $11 minutes. Yeah. So when you add them together, what should be the total? 79.75. So now we get the WSEC. WSEC, you take the 50 millions, divide by 79.75 millions. So what is the cost of the ordinary share? We calculated 16.48. Then we add, there is 18.75 million. So also divide by 79.75 million. Multiplied by the cost of the preference share. The one for the preference share? Yes. The one for the debentures? So there are that plus. So this is 6.4. And now 11 millions divided by 79.75. You mean 6 point? The debenture. 6.36. Yeah, so you add them together. That should be able to give you the WSEC. So it has given us which percent? 12.71. So that's how you are to compute that particular WSEC. So we also go to the next question, should be November 2020. We check the one for November 2020. November 2020, question number 3, part B. November 2020, question number 3, part B. We check November 2020, question number 3, part B. November 2020, question 3, part B. So when you check November 2020, question number 3, part B, when you check the sitting of November 2020, question 3, part B, the question reads that the following information was extracted from the books of Doming General Merchandise Limited. So statement of the financial position, the statement of the financial position as at 31st December 2019 is given as follows. So non-current assets is given, investments is given, current assets less current liabilities, total assets. So financed by ordinary share capital is 3 million shares at links 1 per share, which is giving you a total of 3 million. General reserve is given. Shareholders funds is also given. 7% bond, corporation tax, total equity and liabilities is also given. The question has given you the summary of the profits and dividends. A summary of the profits and dividends. So year end 31st December 2015. They gave 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. So profit after interest and before tax is also given. Less the tax, then profit after interest and tax, less dividends, then earnings, retained earnings. They have also given you that additional information, note 1, the current market value of the ordinary share is given as 3 per share, which is X dividend. Note number 2, bonds are redeemable at par in 10 years' time. Bonds are redeemable at par in 10 years' time. Then they also gave you something in the note number 3. The current market value of the bond is 77.10 per share of 100 nominal value, and annual interest has just been paid on the bonds. Note number 4, there have been no issue or redemption of the ordinary shares or bonds during the past 5 years. Note number 5, the corporate tax rate is 30%. Assume that there have been no changes in the corporate tax rate for the past 5 years. So required, the weighted average cost of capital that the company should use as a discount rate when appraising new investment opportunities. So here it has only 2 components. There is ordinary shares and debentures. There is no preference shares in the question. So the first starting point, you need to get the growth rate, because now we shall be using the compounding method to get the growth rate. So to get the constant growth rate in the dividend for this question, you apply the compounding method. You shall be required to use the compounding method. We apply the compounding method in order to get the constant growth rate. So G is supposed to be given by. So the other question was retention ratio method. but this one we use the compounding method like that. This one we apply the compounding method. So that we go to the question 2015, you name it as DO. 2015 will be DO, 2016 D1, 2017 D2, 2018 D3, 2019 will be D4. So that means that our G should be equal to 4. So D4 divided by DO will be minus 1 like that. D4 divided by DO, then we should be equal to minus 1. So we need to calculate D4. D4 is the dividend per share in the year 2019, whereby you go to the question, you are given the dividends for the year 2019. Are you able to see the dividend in the year 2019? When you check in that statement of the, so how much is that dividend? Yeah, so you take the 810, there are 3 zeros at the top. Then you divide by the number of the ordinary shares. Number of the ordinary shares were given in the capital structure. Are you able to see under financed by? Under financed by, this is the ordinary share capital, 3 million shares at ins1 each. So this one will divide by 3 million ordinary shares. The number of the ordinary shares are 3 millions. So when you divide, you should be able to come up with the dividend per share. So we get 0.27. We also compute our DO. DO is the dividend per share in the year 2015. In the year 2015. So dividend for the year 2015, it is 620. You take 620, then you divide by 3 millions. The number of the ordinary shares are 3 millions. Number of the ordinary shares are meant to be 3 millions. So that one should give you how much? So 0.21, like that. So now from there, you get your G. So it will be 4, then 0.27 divided by 0.21. Then you subtract 1 like that. So what should be that constant growth rate when you express it as a percentage? Online, what should be that growth rate when you compute? Someone to give me that constant growth rate. So 6.48. 6.48. So now we calculate now the cost of the ordinary share. We should now be able to compute the cost of the ordinary share. We should now calculate the cost of the ordinary share. So to come up with the cost of the ordinary share, come up with the cost of the ordinary share. Cost of the ordinary share. That is the same as KE. should be DO 1 plus G divided by DO minus the flotation cost. So our DO is the last dividend that was paid. So from the previous knowledge, this should be 2019. Remember that? Yeah, so our DO should be now the last dividend that was paid, which was in the year 2019. So remember, it was 0.27. So remember, dividend per share was 0.27. But now the growth rate is what you got as 6.48. So 6.48 is the same as 0.0648. Then we divide by PO. PO is the current market price, which was given in the note number 1. Current on 1st of January 2020, market value of the ordinary share is how much per share? 3. So 3 is ex-dividend. There is no flotation cost. Then we should be able to factor in 0.0648. Then now express that figure as a percentage. Now express that figure as a percentage. You now express that value as a percentage. So it is given you which percent? 16.1. You get 16.1%. So now the other item is the cost of the bond or the venture. So the other item is cost of the debenture or the bond. The cost of the debenture or the bond. So KD, because it is redeemable, it is the same as the yield to maturity. It will be the same as the yield to maturity, which will be interest, then 1 plus maturity value minus the current value. We also come up with then we express it as a percentage. So the first thing is for you to calculate the interest. The first thing will be for you to compute the interest. So to get interest, for us to get the interest, you simply get what you are given up there. Are you able to see under the shareholders funds, then 7% bond. So when you go to the note number 3, they have stated that the current market value of the bond is 77.1 per share of the nominal value of 100. So interest is calculated on the bar value. 7% is up there in the capital structure. You see 7% of the bond. So that will be 7% of the nominal value. Nominal value has been given as 100. The nominal value has been given as 100. So nominal value is 100, which is 7. Maturity value, unless otherwise stated, we say it is the same as the nominal value, the bar value. Then current value for the debenture. You check over in the note number 3. You can see 77.10. Yeah, so the current value is 77.10. That is our current value for the debenture. Then N is the maturity period. Maturity period was given in the note number 2 as 10 years. As 10 years, like that. Then the corporate tax rate was given as 30%. So now from there, we compute our yield to maturity. We come up with the yield to maturity. come up with the yield to maturity. So interest is going to be, interest was 7, then 1 minus the corporate tax, then maturity value we said is 100 minus 77.1 1 over n. So n should be 10 years. Also divided by 100 plus 77.10. This one by a half. Then express it as a percent. Then express that figure as a percentage. So it is which percent? 8.12. So now after that, we get the WSCC. So from there, we calculate the weighted average cost of capital. We now calculate the weighted average cost of capital. So to compute the WSCC, we also need to get the total market value. We also have total market value. Get the total market value. So to get the total market value, we start with the ordinary shares. So the number of the ordinary shares were given. Under financed by ordinary share capital, 3 million shares at ×1 each. So you take the 3 millions multiplied by the price per share in the note number 1, it is 3 shillings. The price per share in the note number 1 is 3 shillings. So when you multiply, it should be able to give us 9 millions. Then after that, the next one is supposed to be the debenture or the debt. Debenture or the debt. So debentures or the debt. So they gave you 1.3 millions. And see debenture or what is 1.3 millions. The bar value is meant to be 100. But they are currently saying 77.10. They are currently trading at 77.10. So it should be able to give us 1.23 millions. So when you add them, they are 10.023 millions. So to get our WSCC, you simply take 9 millions divide by 10.0023 millions. So what was the cost of the ordinary share? 16.1. Then so 1.0023 also divide by 10.002. So you multiply by that cost of the debenture, which is 8.12. It is meant to be 8.12. So what should be the WSCC? Online, you are getting which figure? So the next question I want us to finish with May 2019. You got to May 2019, question number 3, part A. You also check May 2019, question number 3, part A. May 2019, question number 3, part A. May 2019, question number 3, part A. So you go to the question for May 2019, question number 3, part A. May 2019, question 3, part A. So the question reads that the capital structure of Maweni Limited is given as follows. Ordinary share capital, the bar value is 20, total amount is 50 million. Retained earnings, 30 million. 12% irredeemable debenture capital, 25 million. 14% preference share capital is 15 million. So additional information, not one. Current market price of the firm's ordinary share is quoted at links 45 cum dividend. So when it is cum dividend, we use the one which is ex-dividend. Note number 2, the firm paid a dividend of 5 per share in the just ended year. Note number 3, the firm adopts 60% dividend payout ratio. Note number 4, return on equity is 20%. Then note number 5, existing 12% irredeemable debenture is currently trading at 112 cum interest. Note number 6, 14% preference shares are currently trading at that 3.50 cum dividend at the Securities Exchange. The corporate tax rate applicable is meant to be 13%. So required, Roman letter 1, the cost of the ordinary share capital. Roman letter 2, the cost of the 12% irredeemable debenture capital. Roman letter 4, the cost of the 14% irredeemable preference shares. Then finally, the firm's WSCC. So we start off with the cost of the ordinary share capital. We start off with the cost of the ordinary share capital. So the starting point is the constant growth rate. When it is not given, you confirm whether it can be computed. So to get the cost of the ordinary share, you want to get the cost of the ordinary share. the constant growth rate has not been given. So G will be given by the retention ratio method, whereby you multiply by retention ratio multiplied by the return on equity. When you go to the note number 3, the firm adopts 60% dividend payout ratio. It means the retained percent. So retention ratio will be 40%. Then return on equity is also given as 20%. So now that should be able to give you what should be the constant growth rate? 8%. So after that, we now calculate the cost of the ordinary share, which is KE. Should be given by DO 1 plus G divided by PO minus the flotation cost. Then we add G at that level. So to compute, so the dividend per share, you are meant to calculate the dividend. So it was given, in the note number 2. You see note 2. The firm paid a dividend of how much? 5 shillings. Yeah, so it will be 5 shillings in the brackets of 1 plus the constant growth rate, which you have gotten. The growth rate from about which percent? 8% is the same as 0.08. So PO is the current market price, which is given to you in the note number 1. Current market price of the firm's ordinary share is quoted at how much? 45. But 45 is come dividend. 45 is come dividend. We use X dividend. So to get X dividend, take the 45, subtract the dividend. Dividend is 5 shillings. So we use 40. We use 40 because it is come dividend. When it is come dividend, you use the X dividend. To get X dividend, subtract the dividend. So there was no flotation cost that was given. Then 0.08. Express that figure as a percentage. So you are getting which percent? Online 21.5. So we go to the cost of the preference share. So we go to the Roman letter 2. The cost of the 12% irredeemable debenture. We also get the cost of the 12%. We now also calculate the cost of the 12%. Cost of 12% irredeemable debenture. So Roman letter 2 is cost of 12% debenture. 12% debenture capital. 12% venture capital. So for that one, to compute KD, because it is irredeemable, it is simply interest 1 minus the tax rate. Then so interest is normally calculated on the bar value. Interest is normally calculated on the bar value. So it is meant to be 12%. So the bar value was 20 shillings. Are you able to see 20? So we get 12% of 20. 12% of 20, which is supposed to be 2.5. It's supposed to be 2.5. Then, sorry? 2.4. is 2.4. So that should be the interest. Then when you check in the note number 5, they have said that existing 12% irredeemable debenture is currently trading at how much? In the note number 5. It is currently trading at, so they were able to give you 112, which is interest. So we use X interest. So to get our KD, interest is 2.4, then 1 minus 0.3. So that current value for the debenture, the current value of the debenture, which is 112, with it is interest. So you subtract interest of 2.4. Interest is 2.4. So when you subtract interest of 2.4 from the 112, what do we come up with? Online, I hope you have understood that point. It should be X interest. So to get the X interest, take the interest 112, subtract the interest of 2.4. Is it clear, those who are online? Yeah, so we should be able to use 109.6. So it will be 109.6. Then express it as a percentage. So that interest, you simply take the 112 minus 2.4. That's where you are getting 109.6. It must be X interest, not interest. So what do we get at that level? Sorry? 1.5. 1.5%. So that's 1.53. That's now the cost of the debenture. We go to the raw number 3, cost of the 14% irredeemable preference share. We also calculate the cost of the preference share. We should also compute the cost of the preference share. Now also calculate the cost of the preference share. We also compute the cost of the preference share. So cost of the preference share is KB. So KB should be D divided by PO minus the flotation cost. Then express it as a percentage. So to compute the dividend is calculated on the bar value. Dividend is computed on the bar value. So it is meant to be 14% of 25 shillings. 14% of the 25 shillings. So we get a figure of 3. So now to get our KB, it is 3.5. So PO is the current market price, which is given to you in the note number 6. So the 14% preference share are currently trading at how much? At 3.50, which is, so we use X. So subtract the dividend. When you subtract 3.5 from the 3.5, we get which value? So we get that. Yeah, so there was no flotation cost that was given. Then express it as a percentage. Then express it as a percentage. So we get 11.67. Yeah, so finally, now we go to the raw mandata 4, where we get now the firm's weighted average cost of capital. We can now compute the firm's weighted average cost of capital. Now get the firm's weighted average cost of capital. So to compute the weighted average cost of capital, we get the total market value. We need to come up with the total market. So to get the total market value, we start the ordinary share capital. So ordinary share capital, it is simply 50 millions divided by the power value, which is meant to be 20, multiplied by the X interest. Remember X interest, market price, X dividend, sorry. When we subtracted the 5, you are left with how much? 40. So value it at 40. Sorry? So get 100 millions. So apart from the ordinary share capital, the next one is supposed to be the preferred shares. The next one should be preferred shares. So for the preferred shares, it is 15 millions divided by the bar value, which is 25. So it is currently trading at how much? The preferred share. When we subtracted dividend on the preferred share of the debentures, it is that. $18 million. So finally, we got to the debenture. Finally, we go to the debenture. So for the debentures, it should be 25 millions. 25 millions divided by the bar value. The bar value was 20. The bar value was 20. So this one was 109.6. 109.6. Sorry? 100 and 31.7 minutes. When you add them together, it should give you a total of 200 and 252 minutes. So now you can get your WMCs. So we take 100 millions divided by the total 255 millions. So what is the cost of the ordinary share? %. What is the cost of the preference share? And finally, what is the cost of the debenture? 1.53. So you combine them together, it will give you the WSC. Unasema hii figure sio 8%. The cost of the ordinary share. Unasema 21. So that should now be able to give us, is it 10.07? Yeah, so that should be now how to compute the value. So I'll not be able to do another question, but I'm meeting you tomorrow from 10. So that we do another part. So online, we agree on that. Those who are online. We are meeting tomorrow from 10. Is it okay? Online, you give me a communication, whether we have agreed. So tomorrow we also have a class from 10 to see whether we shall cover something and be able to finish our syllabus on time. So you let others know that we also have a class tomorrow from 10. So we can stop there for now.